Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
The following video was recorded in Paraguay by a bus driver who had been experiencing strange things and unexplained phenomena while working for a specific bus company. He would always hear strange noises and ghostly footsteps while working all alone late at night. Then on one certain occasion something truly creepy happened, something that ended up on several news stations all over the world. And this is what was caught on camera. At around 3 a.m. in the morning, after returning from one of his coffee breaks, he comes face to face with what appears to be a ghostly entity trying to turn on the bus engine. But as you can see, there is no one there. Did you see that? In the video we can clearly hear someone or something trying to turn the engine on, but there's absolutely no one there. Whatever's going on here, this has to be one of the creepiest videos I've seen so far when it comes to ghosts. But I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that this could be some sort of paranormal event and maybe the bus is haunted? Or is it something else entirely?
So I did a little digging on this one because I couldn't figure out what was going on here. And apparently on these buses, the engine bay is at the back of the bus, and there's another way to start, or there's another way to crank it, not start it all the way, but crank it from the engine bay. So that's likely what's going on, is there's a second person here, and they're cranking from the back of the bus.
What body wash do you use? Now, this is an interesting one, because you can make your own soap. And I started making my own soaps. And I say that because you can use things like borax, you can use things like baking soda, you can use essential oils, but I do a lot of stuff with salt. I make my own soap with salt because that's actually how they used to do a lot of cleaning back in the day. They would use borax and baking soda to clean. There was also a lady named Hazel Parcells, and she talked about when you would rub baking soda all over your body, you would take the radiation off of your body from all the towers, the cell phones, computers, the TVs, the whole shebang. Borax and baking soda can be wonderful for making your own soap. And the reason I went down this rabbit hole is because when you look up the ingredients of soaps, it is just absolutely insane. The ingredients are like propylene glycol, all these different benzoyl alcohols, fragrances, scented products, just crazy stuff that you should not be putting on your skin. And the biggest one is alcohol, which is drying out your skin.
So a lot of people are familiar with borax and what its uses are, but did you know they're trying to get rid of it? Did you know that they're trying to do away with borax and keep it from the public?
Borax is the perfect linking agent, sodium tetraborate. And news stories who are totally irresponsible, telling people that this is dangerous. There's so many uses, things it can be used for. Now everything is borax is bad. Where did that come from? How did borax get to be bad? Well, borax got to be bad because of an irresponsible article that came out on television. I'll let you figure out who said this. Of a mom who allowed her kid to make as much slime as she wanted to for a 3-month period of time. This kid was soaking in borax and water. The skin got irritated. You'd think that that would make some sense. No. We're going to let our kid continue to play until you take her to the hospital, claim that there's burns on your hand, and now all of a sudden, you can't use borax. The kid still wants to make slime. Borax is bad. Can't have borax. No, because it burns your hands. It's horrible. So you couldn't even find white glue on the store shelves a year ago, so I'm sure that they've come up with something, because this is how you make slime, right? They've come up with a solution. I couldn't even have thought of this in 30 years. Oh my gosh, contact lens solution. It's the secret. What could be in contact lens solution? Because borax is bad. What could be in contact lens solution that would link all those molecules together? We gotta go find some contact lens solution. There must be some secret that's inside here so I don't have to use the borax anymore. Let's take a look at this. Just take a look. Look right there. Do you see what it says? So sneaky little boric acid and sodium borate. Oh my gosh, there must be borax in contact lens solution. But it's just fine to use contact lens solution with glue. That'll make perfect slime because we are chemically illiterate. We have no idea what we're really doing here. So they trick us into thinking everything is just fine with this, when in fact, we're still using borax, right? Why is it that people, major buyers of stores, are banning anything with borax in it, all the science kits and everything, because borax is bad, yet it's okay for another company to be able to say, hey, the safe version, and it goes all over social media. All over social media is chemically illiterate, right? Completely misses the point that borate ions are what link molecules together. What links molecules together gives you slime. Stop.
So it's not safe enough for them to allow you to purchase it and use it for whatever means you decide, but it's safe enough to put in your eyeballs. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. They're doing away with borax, which is a natural, healthy alternative to all these shampoos and soaps, so that they can force us to cover ourselves with chemicals. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I make a new one just like it every day, Monday through Friday. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me.
Teleportation. So currently right now, we've been able to teleport several molecules from Earth to the space station. Teleportation, that's like Star Trek, where you stand on this pad and your body vanishes from that pad and reappears on another planet or on another ship or whatever they're trying to teleport you to. But teleportation is becoming an actual reality right now today. We're able to do it with individual particles and also now molecules. I think the furthest distance now has been 6 or 7 miles. But now, with the advent of DNA storage devices and the capability of storing information on DNA, we're talking about being able to store every single position and location and spin rate of the atom in your body, and then teleporting you to another location where the computer on that side will recreate and put back together every atom of your body in the exact same position, making you a copy of you. One thing with teleportation you have to understand is you're creating a facsimile every time you teleport. So it's actually you, but in a kind of a way, it's a copy of you. Because when you teleport, the original you is actually destroyed, and the one that pops up on the other side is the copy. So every teleportation you see on Star Trek is an incarnation of that person.
I really want to believe that this is technology that's being figured out, but he first makes the claim that we're sending molecules, teleporting them to the International Space Station, which I'm not convinced we have anybody on the International Space Station or that it's even floating above us. And then he says, essentially in the same breath, that the furthest we've been able to send molecules thus far is 6 or 7 miles. The International Space Station is a little bit more than 6 or 7 miles away. So he pretty much just debunked his own claim. I hope that there's some truth to this. I hope he just misspoke, because I really hope that we do actually have this technology waiting on us in the future, because this would be awesome. That's the type of science fiction technology that I'm waiting on. Teleportation is going to be amazing.
Bumblebee, when he starts to beat his wings, when he starts to flap his wings, there's a little cavity, a hollow cavity next to the larynx inside his system that's hollow. And when he beats his wings, he starts to resonate this energy, and it goes back and forth, just similar to a guitar strumming on one side of the room and hitting the same chord on the other side of the room, or somebody hitting a high C and breaking a crystal. It's the same thing, it's resonance. And he said what they do, they resonate. And when they resonate, they eventually reach the resonance of the field around them. And he explained it this way to me, that the earth was, of course, spinning, but it was operating on a frequency of 8.5 hertz per second or so forth. And he says once this bumblebee hits that resonant frequency of its surroundings, it becomes a free agent. It creates a magnetic bubble around itself, and it can go anywhere it wants. And I said, well, that's not in any of the science books. He said, I know. You probably never see it there either, but that's what happens. They'll discover it someday and bring it out.
I feel like this is the direction that we need to be looking at whenever it comes to future flight technologies. It seems like the way a bumblebee flies, like it has this force field that allows it to just move through the air without being affected by wind and rain and everything. It's protected. When you look at all these UFO videos and stuff that have come out showing these crafts flying at just ridiculous breakneck pace through the air and then entering the ocean without making a splash, it seems like they're using the same technology, or that their technology is based off the same idea of how a bee flies, because it appears that they've got this force field around them that's protecting them from the elements, just like a bee. I think that this is what we need to be backwards engineering. How does a bee fly, and how can we incorporate that into our crafts?
First off, you guys do know the Pentagon has a budget for film. Like, there's a whole department in the Pentagon.
I know that.
That's a fact. There you go. That's all you need to know. There's an entire department in the Pentagon. They get involved with films, and they get involved with films for the purpose of propaganda. They always have.
Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that that happens, but propaganda is something that is important to all civilizations.
It's like, because they're concerned about certain narratives, they get involved with like World War films, like how are we telling a story about history? Usually it's because we're lying.
The Pentagon just funded some films, Black Hawk Down, Red Dawn, GoldenEye.
Now you understand your experience in theaters is what your government wants you to think. They want you to think that this is how things happen, and it's usually not at all how things have actually happened.
And not only is that propaganda being fed to you through films, but they've made it legal for the news media to lie to us directly. A good example of that is right now CNN is pushing really hard the idea that we live in a democracy instead of a constitutional republic, which is just simply a lie. That's not the truth. But they're pushing it really hard because if they can warp the language and confuse the population, they can control them.
On July 19th, 1991, 12-year-old Jared Michael Negretti embarked on his first overnight backpacking trip with the Boy Scouts. The group consisted of 6 scouts and a scoutmaster. That fateful evening, he and his troop were hiking to the 3,500-meter summit of Mount San Gorgonio, otherwise known as Old Grayback, Southern California's highest peak, located in San Bernardino National Forest. But at some point at around 6 p.m, just as the group had reached the top of the mountain, the scoutmaster came to a horrifying realization. Jared was missing. A separate group of hikers informed him that they had seen Jared walking down the mountain alone, shortcutting the switchbacks. That's to say, cutting through the vegetation rather than using the zigzag trail to the bottom. The scoutmaster, an experienced hiker himself, rushed the remaining scouts down Old Grayback, expecting to pick up Jared somewhere along the way. They stuck to the trail the entire way down and reached the designated meeting point at the base, but Jared was nowhere to be seen. The group hiked 5 miles in the dark back to their base camp and hastily called for help. The subsequent search effort involved multiple law enforcement agencies, search and rescue teams, and volunteers, with up to 3,000 people dedicating 45,000 hours to scour a 50 square mile area around the mountain. After 3 days of searching, a footprint was uncovered on the mountain, one believed to match with Jared's high-top tennis shoes. Beef jerky and candy wrappers were found nearby, but the most important thing the searchers found was Jared's camera. On the film roll were 12 pictures, and the final photo on it also happened to be the last photo ever taken of Jared Negretti. A close-up shot of his eyes and nose, taken in the dark using the camera's flash. It's believed it was taken the same night he disappeared. Despite 3 decades of searching, no trace of Jared's remains have ever been found. Where Jared went and what became of him remain unknown. The circumstances surrounding his disappearance raise questions, particularly regarding why a scout leader allowed Jared, a first-time camper, to hike alone while the rest of the group completed their ascent together. As anyone who's been in the scouts knows, the slowest hikers are typically placed in the middle of the pack to ensure that nobody gets left behind. As for what actually happened to Jared on that night in July 1991, there are 3 main theories. Firstly, that during his solo descent down the mountain, Jared got lost. Night fell, and, unable to see where he was going, he began taking photos using his camera's flash. It certainly wouldn't be the only time that something like this has happened. The theory brings to mind the infamous story of Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, two Dutch women who got lost while hiking in Panama, and who, purportedly, used the flash on their phone cameras to guide their way through the darkness. They unfortunately didn't make it out of the jungle alive. Those who believe the same fate befell Jared hypothesize that shortly after taking this final photo of himself, he slipped and fell over one of the sheer drops that line San Gorgonio, and that his remains are either still hidden somewhere in the thick brush, or were washed away by a river. The second theory is that Jared succumbed to one of the black bears that are known to inhabit the mountain. That being said, it seems unlikely that nobody else on San Gorgonio would have heard his screams for help.
You know, this is a story we hear time and time again of someone just seemingly disappearing without a trace while they're surrounded by other people. No one hears anything, no one sees anything. They bring in these large search parties. They just cover square miles of area surrounding where they disappeared at, and no one ever finds anything. And no one ever finds the remains. No one ever locates the body. This happens over and over and over again, and it's starting to look like there's some anomaly that is creating these situations, because so many of these situations have details that just don't add up or don't make sense, but at the same time correlate to other disappearances that have the same details that don't add up and don't make sense. So something's going on in our national parks. I don't know if it's like a Bigfoot situation or aliens abducting people or what, but something's going on in our national parks.
That was the hijacking of the music industry, right? 440 hertz was basically taking the key of A. It's called key of A, and you can look this up. And they changed that tune so that people would get angry and irritable while they listen to the music. And when you get angry and irritable, you actually start to break down your body. And I noticed this was a trend too when I was in the fitness world as well, right? You listen to angry music to get angry, to lift and do these things. But what I don't realize is it's also breaking down my body, because I'm getting mad at things that I don't even know what I'm supposed to be mad at. I'm not focusing on the root cause of where my anger may be coming from. I'm projecting it and amplifying it more. And headphones or AirPods, we could go into that one too as well, another frequency. But with headphones, you're putting that right into the brain, and it's going deep into the brain. A lot of this is put into our homes, or a lot of these frequencies are put out so that they can get ingrained into either the body or the mind. And someone just said, which is funny, I drive faster when I listen to rock. Yes, because the 440 hertz of rock is to make you angry while you're driving.
And just to point out how powerful this is, they've actually done research and done studies that show that remembering something that didn't happen to you, as long as you focus on the details and run through your mind like it actually happened, it has the same emotional and mental impact on you as actually remembering something that happened. So you can actually create bad memories that give you depression and anxiety from things that didn't even happen to you. If you're someone who just chronically worries all the time, and you create these what-if scenarios in your mind and then focus on them, the reason it has such an insanely negative impact on you is because your brain can't differentiate between that and reality. So if you're pumping your head full of this music that's designed to make you angry, your brain's not going to know the difference between you just being angry from the music or being angry because something's actually happening to you in real life.
You have no idea. Do you know what that statue represents? At the end of this video, you will understand what Drake and Kendrick have to do with the end of this world. Kendrick Lamar and Drake were somewhat a friend. They went on tour together, they did features together like Poetic Justice, but after Kendrick Lamar dropped Control and dissed a bunch of rappers including Drake, nothing was ever the same. I couldn't help it. Before we get into the secrets of the industry, let's touch on the accusations. We're going to go over the lyrics, and then we're going to touch on whether or not they're true later in the video. Kendrick says he has ex-offender. On OVO, he keep on allowing. Child should never be compromised, and he's keeping his child around them. Him and Weinstein should be in the same set. So to be clear here, Kendrick Lamar is saying that Drake has ex-offenders in his group, and he has these ex-offenders around his child. These statements are bigger than you think, and we're going to break that down and then uncover the secret. So UMG is a part of the big three record labels. I couldn't help it. Sony, UMG, and Warner. Now, UMG is at the very top. They make up the bulk of this. They got all the money. They pulled in around $10 billion in 2022 alone. They use talented individuals to make them more money and to do things for them, to be puppets so they can control masses and make more money. Drake was signed recently to a $400 million deal to make them more money. This is why Kanye West said that he sold his soul. It's a lifetime deal, and you know these are really crazy with taking people's souls. I mean, I had another video, go to my playlist about soul. So one of the things that these very rich people do is they use these artists and they do it themselves. I'm not saying Drake did or didn't do it, but they do a lot of X trafficking, and you know what I'm talking about, right? This is important because Kendrick Lamar is accusing Drake of these things. The rabbit hole gets deep. Follow me. Now, we went over Kendrick Lamar's lyrics a little earlier just so you understand the accusations. I'm going to say another one, but before I do, for those who are still skeptical that people do these weird things in the industry, down in the comment section, I'm going to leave a long list of X trafficking and child X abuse in the comments. Make sure you like it so other people can find it easy. Not just the music industry, but the entertainment industry. And Kendrick Lamar's song, They Not Like Us. Can't say all the lines in there because then I'll be demonetized on here. But a specific line, he said, Baca has a weird case, why is he around? The article about him, who is Baca? Not nice. Drake's OVO signee was convicted of assault and accused of human trafficking. Now this is really serious because Drake signed this guy and Drake has him around a lot. And when you read the case, it doesn't look pretty. I mean, it's a woman. Now if you don't think that's weird, that's when it gets deeper, but that's not what the video is about. Comment deeper if you want that video. So what does Kendrick Lamar exposing Drake have to do with anything? Why are these crazy things happening? Cat Williams, the whole Diddy raided, the incident going on, or not incident, but whatever's going on at Nickelodeon. What do these things have to do with the world? There's a book called The Fourth Turning. It's not just a book, but it's a historical theory that was founded by two men, Strauss and Howie. I hope I'm pronouncing their names right. There are 4 eras in every civilization, or within every era of a civilization. The first is the high. That's when everybody's excited about what's going to come next and what we're going to build in the future. Then it's the awakening, when people realize something's wrong with this institution, something's wrong with this world. Then it's the unraveling, when everything's falling apart. And then there's the crisis, war, famine, depression, the reset button. We're in the crisis phase. Now, what they also found, these historians, when they were doing all this research, they found that the music actually begins to reflect the times. Entertainment in general doesn't, and if you think about it, it makes sense. But just as you see the whole music industry going to war, you're kind of starting to see the world go to war. Just as you see Cat Williams and Kendrick exposing people, you're seeing politicians and other groups of people getting exposed. It's all building up to one major event. This is what a crisis period is. So what are you going to do if we do fall into another Great Depression, or if everything's just completely wiped out? Well, you see, you live in a matrix, a medium or structure in which you develop in called civilization. You're not meant to be in civilization. The more advanced it gets, the more depleted and dumb we get. That is its nature. If civilization was to stop right now, it would be as if you stopped feeding your pet. They don't know how to get food, so they would starve. They're not made to work a 9 to 5. You, like all things, meant to be free. And when this world collapses, whether it's soon or the next 100 years, what will you or your grandchildren do? There is a book called FFFHAMS that tells you about a system that is called FFFHAMS that was sent specifically to you. If you're still watching this, it's definitely for you. And it's a system that will free you from jobs, 9 to 5, bills. You know, if society ends, you will be fine. It's a system that you build. You don't need me, you don't need anybody else but you and a group of people that you trust. It stands for food, forest, foraging, hunting, anti-fragile, modern society. A way for you to live as you were meant to live while still having technology and living in a way that is good for you and the earth. The audiobook is the way that it was meant for you to read it or hear it, and that is in the link of the page, and it is free. It's at the top of the page, and it's at the link at the top of my page, and it is free. There have been bots and people trying to stop people from getting it by lying about the book, but I encourage you to read it for yourself. I love you all. Peace.
I'm going to try to put the link to this book in the description of this video as well. I feel like I'm watching so many of these videos, watching the world fall apart, and it's starting to black pill me. And people are starting to notice, based on my comments, that I don't have a lot of hope for the future based on what's currently taking place in the world. I'm trying to correct that. I'm trying to fix that and have more hope, because if you have no hope and you just give up, then nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to get better. I feel like this is a good breakdown of what's happening, not only in the music industry, but just in general around the world. It seems like everything is falling apart. It seems like everything's coming to an end, grinding to a halt. You know, it'd be a good off guard. I don't want to be all of a sudden thrown back into the Stone Ages without any means of providing for my family. So if you're not familiar with how to grow your own food and essentially provide for yourself and your family, this is a good resource and everyone should go check it out.
People believe this may be an extraterrestrial standing at the entrance to a cave, and this figure is actually very small, estimated to be at least 3/4 foot tall. Do you think it's an extraterrestrial? Could it just be someone in a suit? Take a look and see. It's definitely something surreal.
So I've watched that 4 or 5 times now, and my best guess is that that's some sort of a miner with a headlamp on, and that's why the head seems to be so bright and vibrant. At first I thought it was some sort of a CGI thing, because it kind of looks oddly placed in the cave. It almost looks like it was digitally placed there, but upon further inspection it does look like there's actually something there. I would think that the cameraman either knows who or what that is, because if he didn't, he would likely be focused on it the entire time, not just panning the camera around and moving and stuff. I'm not 100% sure on this one, but my best guess is that that's some sort of a miner or a cave explorer, and they're wearing a headlamp.
In 2020, you had 150,000 people a month searching gardening, how to grow their own food. Then you go to 2021 and you got 250,000 people a month searching how to grow your own food. 2022, you go up to 500,000 people searching gardening, how to grow my own food per month. 2023, you have 1 million people searching how to grow my own food. So as you can see, there is a revolution taking place, even though you see all this like Bill Gates and fake food and lab grown and all this other garbage that they try to sell you that's Soylent Green. There is a revolution on this side which is now being broadcast. We don't want to show that people are waking up on this side and that things are changing. People are growing their own food. They're getting their own chickens. They're getting their own cows. They're getting they're growing their own plants. They're building greenhouses. They're getting into structured water, spiraling water. That's not televised, because that shows a revolution that's happening. All the people, when they were seeing like all the food shortages and all that nonsense, which was orchestrated, were realizing that they gotta do something. So people started growing their own food and getting animals. And same thing with water.
So I happen to be very fortunate in that I live very close to the Mennonites. I'm surrounded by the Amish here where I live. Within a 20-minute drive, I can get to multiple different butcher shops that sell locally sourced beef and pork, locally sourced chicken, and specific days of the week, I can pick any direction and drive, and within 15 minutes, I'm going to hit a farmer's market where I can pick up locally grown produce. But a lot of people are not fortunate enough to live in an area where this stuff takes place, where this stuff's being grown. A lot of areas, there is no locally sourced produce and meat. You have to have all that stuff shipped in. A good idea if you're not someone who can maintain a garden on your own and you would like to get one going, a great thing that you can do in your area to help people who want to start a garden but don't have the means or the capability to have a large-scale garden on their own or take care of it, you can actually start a community garden. And I know a lot of people that do this. You can have 4 or 5 families. One of them has a large plot of land. Everybody gets together and plants everything that they want. They share in the work, they share in the planting, they share in the weeding the garden and all this stuff. Everybody shares the work that's involved, and at the end, everybody shares the harvest. There's usually enough left over that you can sell some of it and use that to fund the garden the next year, like the purchasing of your seeds and your fertilizer and whatnot. So I thought that was a good idea to share with people. If you happen to be in an area where you don't have easy access to this stuff, you can make your own access. I just wanted to put this in here because I'm trying to do my part in helping change things and helping to move society back to a self-sustainable model. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video just like always. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to go to www.barry-stepp.com and order yourself a shirt or a hat. It helps me support the channel, and I greatly appreciate everyone who's ordered something so far. All that out of the way, I hope everybody has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.